Hello, welcome to Seattle University's Master of Legal Studies webinar series. Today we'll be speaking about the Education is Priceless, how to plan, prepare, and pay for your education. I am Linda Hemer, Senior Director of Graduate Law Programs for Seattle University School of Law. That means I pretty much oversee our campus as well as our online master's programs and postdoctoral work for Juris Doctorate students. If you're interested in this online MLS program, you would be speaking directly with me, and I would support you from your first contact all the way through your career and your alumni status, your entire academic journey. And I take great pride in that and the team members I work with. So I hope at the end of this webinar, you have much more helpful information. And if you haven't already applied, that you will apply for this program. Our agenda today, our guest presenter is my colleague and friend, Lynette Splinter. She is Director of Student Financial Services at Seattle University School of Law. She will be discussing with you the intricacies of how to plan, prepare, and pay for your education. After that, we will talk about next steps. The application deadline for fall is July 15th. There will also be a time for a question and answer period. If you do have questions during the webinar, please feel free to submit them by chat or through the Q&A feature, and I will do my best as a host to make sure that your questions are answered contemporaneous to your need or at the end of this session. So just briefly, a little bit about our Master of Legal Studies in Compliance and Risk Management. It is a fully online part-time program designed for busy and working professionals to be able to study in a flexible basis online and in your spare time. So what will you learn, benefit, and achieve? You'll be able to learn from respected leaders about ethics, compliance, and risk. You'll benefit from our tradition as a Jesuit institution, but also, despite being founded in tradition, we are part of a very innovative and emerging and exciting market in the Pacific Northwest and in Seattle specifically. And hopefully this program and our team will help you achieve all your personal and professional goals. So you probably realize and appreciate the value of a master's degree, but you also have to plan, prepare, and pay for it. So now I'd like to introduce, again, my colleague and friend, Lynette Splinter. Lynette.
Hello, and welcome everyone to the webinar, and I'm glad to be here in virtual person to discuss financial aid options and paying for it, all of those questions that you may have. And for a little bit of information, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, either call us, telephone number is on there, or email at lawfa@seattleu.edu. And we're happy to either answer questions via email or set up an appointment via phone or via Zoom to go over any questions you have. So, and again, welcome. Okay, so the basics, the program details for tuition is charged per credit for the program, and that's in any of our law programs are charged per credit, and it's for the MLS online, it's $1,272 per credit. It's a 30 credit total program. So you take 5 credits per term. So your estimated total of tuition charges, and that's a direct charge, is going to be $6,360 per term. So that's for fall. And it's about $38,160 base tuition. There's a little asterisk by it because tuition rates can change each year, so it may go up a little bit in subsequent years. So, but this will give you a good kind of basic of what you're looking for the cost of this program. The program structure is part-time, fully online, and we have the start on there, and you pay per credit per term. So it is, for your starting, it's 3 credits per term, although for entering in there, you're going to start in the fall, and your financial aid will cover fall and spring. And then the next year, summer is always our leader. So summer is going to be your next one, summer, fall, spring. And then again, it's 5 credits for 6 terms for a total of 30 credits. And I don't know, Linda, if you have anything else on that one before we go into the actual cost of attendance that I've forgotten.
No, you haven't forgotten anything, Lynette. Thank you.
Okay.
I know this is a lot of information to take in, but yeah, we are still accepting applications for our fall term, which starts September 7th. And yeah, our terms are approximately 14 weeks in length, and there's on average 3 to 4 weeks of a break in between each term. So that also helps people plan for vacations or other, just to take a break in between each trimester.
Thank you. That's really good too. I know those are some of the things that always good to know, and I probably don't get them as part of the financial aid. So, so this one is your cost of attendance. And one of the things that I really want to bring forward on here is when we look at cost of attendance, we're not only looking at tuition. So per federal guidelines, we have to include other indirect costs. So for your cost, it's going to include living expenses, transportation, personal expenses. So that's all part of that budget that we have to include. That doesn't mean that that's something that you have to pay, but that's something you could borrow funds to cover those expenses if you need to. What you're really looking at for direct costs, what is going to be owed to the institution for this program, are the first lines that you see up there, the tuition. So for 10 credits at $1,272, that's going to be $12,720 for the year. You have an SBA fee of $69, so that will be split equally between fall and spring. And then you have a one-time matriculation fee that will be charged for the fall term. So those are your actual direct costs that are you will owe the institution. Underneath that is the other indirect costs, the cost of attendance. So these are the additional funds that you can borrow loan. You can borrow loan funds to cover these expenses if you need them, but you don't have to. So, but it gives you that option. And for some students, you may not need living expenses. Other students, you may need a portion of that to help with living expenses. So it just gives you that option to take out the loans that you need to cover both your tuition cost and other expenses as you need them.
Thank you.
And this is for the full academic year. So when you're looking at that cost of attendance, that's for fall and spring of 21-22. Okay, and now more information on the types of loan programs available and just some basics for you to know when you're taking out these loans. The first one is the Federal Direct Unsubsidized Stafford Loan. So when you apply for financial aid and you complete the FAFSA, the feds are looking at that information and they will send back what's called a process student aid report. And that tells us if you're eligible for federal aid. So the first one that's going to be on there is the unsubsidized Stafford loan. It's a guaranteed loan. It is not credit-based. If you meet the qualifications from the FAFSA, you're eligible for this loan. The maximum each year is $20,500. It does have an aggregate maximum of $138,500. So any loans that you borrowed prior to this program is part of that aggregate maximum. So we just have to make sure that you're not within that cost. So that will be one of them that could affect that 20,500. And that doesn't happen very often. But if there are several programs, you may be a little bit closer to that, just to let you know. And that's something to look at on your student loans, how much you owe in student loan debt and how that might impact. The interest is a fixed variable rate. And so each year the rate is set prior to July 1 for the life of the loan. Currently it's 5.28 for loans first dispersed on or after July 1, 2021, and it's capped at 9.5. There's an origination fee of 1.057 deducted at disbursement by the lender, and that will be at each disbursement. So that loan will be for fall and spring. The amount that you borrow is going to be a little bit more than the actual amount that's dispersed. So when you see your actual disbursement, it's going to be slightly lower than what's showing on your offer letter. The interest accrues, but it may be deferred until repayment. So you can, so the interest still accrues, but you don't have to make payments on it. You can if you want, but you can just have that interest accrue on the principal, and then at repayment, they add that interest that's accrued into to the total loan debt. And you have a 6-month grace period before you begin repayment. So once you graduate or drop below half-time, that grace period starts in. And then one of the other things, the Stafford loan does qualify for federal income-driven repayment plans, the public interest loan forgiveness, and federal loan consolidation. And then one other little note on there is because of, oh, I had the wrong date on there. I realized that should be through September 30th. Yes, the interest rate is 0% through September 30th, and that's on studentaid.gov. That was extended by the president, and it will be, it will go back to the current interest rate on October 1, unless that is extended again because of COVID-19. So great writing, Linda. That reminds me of using
Etch a sketch.
We might be dating ourselves. So I do apologize, and I will update that. So if anybody wants an updated PowerPoint, I will make that change and send that to Linda. So I am sorry for that one. I did not realize it was
no
the
problem.
date was off.
Yeah, and Lynette, again, I know this can be really complex information for people who are used to navigating financial aid, or for people just coming back to school after a number of years, or it's their first time seeking financial aid. One of the things you said was an offer letter would contain information. You're not referring to if someone applies their offer of admission. This is a different document, correct?
This is a different document. Yes, this is the financial aid offer letter. So when you complete the FAFSA, and we'll get into more detail, because there's certain things that you'll need to that we'll need to get from you in order to start that process. And
one of the things, we always are trying to continuously improve our communication and work with students, but we have found two areas where there sometimes is a miscommunication or a disconnect. One, where students apply and they may receive an offer of admission, and then they just assume we take care of financial aid for them. And we're going to talk about the steps that no, it's the applicant, the student's responsibility to take the initiative to apply for the aid, and we help. A second thing we've faced is in situations where a student may have applied for our program and then was just completing other schooling, and sometimes the financial aid information from the government is delayed and has a lag time, and the awards or the offer letters we've get is based on information that is not current. And
Right.
Lynette, you can speak a little bit further about what students should watch or alert us to.
Yes, that is, and I would say that's probably where that comes into is if you're finishing up another program, so let's say this starts in the fall and you're finishing a program that ended in the summer, depending on how that school treated their summer term. So schools can either treat summer term as a header, which means it starts their academic year, or as a finisher, so it ends the academic year. And for us, summer term is always the start of an academic year. So if you get financial aid for the summer term to finish another program before you start this program, it can affect the total amount of loan eligibility, that $20,500 that you would have for this program for fall and spring, because that academic year, that $20,500 is good for an academic year. So if that other school, if summer is a header for them, so part of 21-22, we have to calculate that amount in. And that's where you can kind of run into that little bit of a problem, because if the FAFSA data was completed before that summer term ended, we may not get that information until a revised one from the federal processor saying that this student is not eligible for all of the loan debt or the loan amount that we've awarded. And then we have to make an adjustment in spring. So what I would recommend is to help us is if you have gone to a summer starting in the fall and you finished up a prior program in the summer and got financial aid, let us know. Either, let us know, let Linda know that you did get financial aid for that. And then that can alert us to check and make sure that we've got the most accurate information and we're not running into a situation that you end up getting less loan amount in the spring because we've had to reduce it after the fall disbursement. So thank you, Linda, for bringing that up, because that is probably one of the bigger hiccups that we have. And then the other issue is on your application, when you apply for admission for the program, it does not ask for your social security number. If you are applying for financial aid, we need that social security number, because that's one of the match points to download your FAFSA, your completed FAFSA data. It's your social security number, your first name, and your birth date. That data has to match what the feds have. So if you have applied and waiting for information, is if you call us or email us and let us know that you've completed the FAFSA, what we will do is set up an appointment with you to call you to get that that social security information. We don't want you to email your social security number, so we'll set up a time frame that we can get that information from you and be able to record it in the system, and then be able to download the FAFSA.
Yeah, thank you, Lynette. The reason we don't ask for a social security number on the application form itself is just for security and privacy purposes, but it is necessary for the financial services team to obtain that information to best serve.
Okay, so continued. So there are additional student loans. So if you find that you need additional funding and the unsubsidized loan is not enough to cover, so you'll need funding for living expenses, that's when we get into the alternative loans that are credit-based. And these can be up to the cost of attendance less other financial aid, so less the unsubsidized loan, if there's any scholarship funds, less that. The two are the federal grad plus, which is a direct loan like the unsubsidized Stafford. It is a fixed variable rate, and that is like the unsubsidized. It's set each year prior to July 1 for the life of the loan, and it runs about a 1% higher than the unsubsidized. So you see that's 6.28, and it does have an origination fee of 4.228. So they will take that amount off the top of the disbursement fund. So your actual disbursement is going to be a little bit less than the amount that you borrowed. And like the unsubsidized, it does qualify for federal income-driven repayment plans, public interest loan forgiveness, and federal loan consolidation. And so especially for students who, if you're going into government work or working for a nonprofit 501c3, and you're looking at the public service loan forgiveness, and you're going to take out additional funds on top of the unsubsidized, you're going to want to look at the Grad Plus, because that's the only alternative loan, the additional loan funds that's eligible for the public service loan forgiveness program. If you're not, and you're looking at maybe taking out an additional funds, you also have private education loan options. And the reason why we don't award upfront and we have these different options is it gives a student a choice to take out the loan that's going to be best for them. And it may be with the private loan, student with excellent credit or with a cosigner might have a little bit lower interest rate. And most of them are just quarterly, but there are some fixed interest rates. So that may be of a benefit. It may be through a credit agency. You may belong to a credit agency that's going to give you a little bit lower interest rate. I know we've had a student that's had a loan through Navy Federal Credit Union because it gave, being part of that, had a better interest rate than other loans. So that's why we don't award a private loan up front. One, because it is credit-based, and two, it gives you the chance to look and see what loan type is going to be of a benefit to you. Given a lot of focus on the school and for students of going into public interest work, most of our students will take out the Grad Plus over private loans because of the loan forgiveness. But we do have students who take out private loans too. So it just, like I said, there's no right or wrong answer on that one. It's really what is going to be the best benefit for you if you need to take out additional student loan funds.
And Lynette, I have a quick question too. When we talk about the forgiveness programs and public interest, what if, because the majority, probably about 80% of our students in the online MLS program work full-time, if they're already working for such organizations, do they qualify, or is it if you're entering a new career?
No, you would qualify. So once you go into repayment, and you are working for an agency that is that would be eligible, yes, it doesn't have to be a new career, and it honestly, it doesn't even have to be related to the degree you received. So you could be a teacher. You could have had a law degree and decided that, no, I don't want to do this. I want to be a teacher. You're working for a public school. You would qualify because, and as long as you meet the other criteria. So you're making the payments on time, you're in the correct payment plan. Studentaid.gov. If you're interested in it, if you go to studentaid.gov, they have a section on the public interest loan forgiveness. It's very good and very detailed. And it really tells you what you need to do, what they're looking for. And then there's a worksheet that will take you through the steps that you need to do to make sure that you're making your payments on time, you're in the right payment plan, and you have the right employment for that.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Lynette.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about this, but the financial aid process. One, complete the FAFSA. If you haven't done that, even if you have not been admitted and you're still waiting, go ahead and complete the FAFSA. It doesn't hurt. It's free, and it's actually really pretty simple. They'll ask you some demographic questions. They'll ask you income information. That is based on the prior year, so that will be 2019. And if you filed your taxes, you can, what's called a data retrieval tool. You'll okay it. They will pull that information from the IRS, so you don't even have to go back and try to find your 2019 income tax return. They'll pull that information in and you can accept it. Our school code is 003790. That's going to come up as Seattle University, and that is fine where we have the same code as our, the university is on the same code for the law school and the university as a whole. Like we talked about before, you do need to provide your social security number to our office. So call us, or you can even send us an email, and then we'll set up a time to get that information from you. And again, don't send your SSN through email, just on a security part of it. And then this is where the offer letter, what we talked about, is used to be called a financial aid award letter, and the Fed's like offer better. So we have updated it. And we will email that to you. And it's about 2 to 3 weeks after admission letter received, as long as we have the FAFSA information in and processed. And if we need further information, we will reach out to you to request that. And have that information come in before we complete the process. The offer letter will have the initial financial aid, and then it will have the next steps on securing those loans to pay for that tuition cost and living expenses if needed. So the very first step, complete the FAFSA. Second step, review your offer letter, accept it, and then complete any additional requirements from that.
Thank you, Lynette. And I wanted to interject too, while we talk about how to pay, you're focusing on the financial aid process or other loans federally and subsidized and unsubsidized. One of the other avenues that many students use is employer reimbursement, partial or full for their tuition. So if you are interested in the program, it doesn't hurt to speak to your HR department. Even if they don't have a formal policy, sometimes employers can be encouraged just on the basis of your personal advocacy or speaking to us. I'd be happy to speak to anyone's HR department or employer, regardless of the size of your company, about the benefits and the value of this degree, not just for you, but for the organization and the teams you work with. So many of our students have some form of tuition reimbursement through their employers. Additionally, we do offer merit scholarships, which are awarded. There is not a separate application for a scholarship. It is awarded based on the admissions committee's review of your application packet and supporting documents. We have a finite pool of funds from which we can draw and award partial merit scholarships. At this time, we do not offer any full tuition scholarships. If you are considered and awarded for a merit scholarship, the amount of that scholarship would be identified in your offer of admission letter, offering admission to the school. And then we share that information with Lynette's team, and the merit scholarship funds would also be part of a complete package for your award for payment purposes. Correct, Lynette?
Right. That is correct.
Okay, so what's next? In the midst of all this, you still should apply. Apply early, even though the deadline is July 15th, in order to ensure a full timing and complete service, both for the admissions committee review, as well as Lynette's team to do their best for you. Please apply as soon as possible. And then you submit your FAFSA and contact us for options or for further guidance, both on the academic side of the program or the financial side. We will do our best to respond promptly and completely to your inquiries and to your application. The admissions committee meets every Wednesday. So in some cases, applicants are hearing within a week on the decision on their application. You will see in the application that it does ask for official transcripts at the time of application and submission of your application. And at the time the committee reviews your application, We do not need your official transcripts. We just need official transcripts before you actually enroll and start the term on September 7th. If you have them, fantastic, and you should order them directly from your school to be sent directly to us, but it's not required. So if you're waiting or worried about having a complete application, it's not necessary. And we hope that you will enroll and begin your journey with us. Again, the fall term begins on September 7th, 2021. The application deadline is July 15th. If you have any questions, you can contact me via phone at 206-398-4268. And Lynette, please remind them again of your office number.
It's 206-398-4250. Or you can also email us at lawfa@seattleu.edu.
And again, I can be reached via email at lawgraduateonline@seattleu.edu. Again, happy to answer any questions you may have about the academics and about financial aid provisions. If I cannot answer the question, I will find a team member that can. And I think Lynette would say the same, but usually she has most of the answers. So at this time, I will open up the floor to any participants and attendees who have any questions. And I do not see any questions pending or chat, but I will wait a minute just in case a question comes up.
And I will say, I think the favorite answer for any, the favorite federal answer for any financial aid questions probably starts with, it depends.
Yeah, well, that's good training to enter into a compliance and risk management program, because the first thing you learn about the law is, this is the rule, now here come the exceptions.
Right, and that's the way it is with financial aid. There are rules, and then there are rules built on top of other rules. So it's always something new.
I do not see any activity for questions. If anyone is formulating a question or chat, I apologize. I would be available again afterwards if you'd like to have a private consultation with me or with Lynette. Please arrange for that by telephone or email, and we welcome that. I sure hope that those in attendance, if you have not already, that you do apply for this program and just start your academic journey with us in September. Thank you so much for your attendance today. Lynette, thank you so much for sharing your expertise and knowledge with the attendees today. Always a pleasure.
Oh, well, you're welcome. And thank you for the attendees for coming. And if you have any questions, send us an email or call us, and we'll set up time to go over more in depth.
Thank you so much, Lynette. You be well, and everyone enjoy summer. Take care now.